memory of this night is forever carved into my memory, like a box cutter to the surface of a wooden desk. I may never recover from the horror of waking up to the screaming voice of my own mother. With the phone pressed firmly against her ear, her voice panicky, and her watery eyes wide as silver dollars, as she paced back and forth, yelling, "Why, God? Why did you take my baby?" Now, on the other end of the phone was my sister-in-law, disclosing the devastating news that my brother had just died. Suicide was the cause. How many of you would know what to do if one of your loved ones expressed thoughts of suicide? My intentions here today are to make you aware of the ever-growing suicide rate in the United States. During this speech, I'll cover general information and stats, who's most likely to commit suicide, the risk factors, warning signs, and the protocol for suicide prevention. When suicide hit my family, I had little to no knowledge on the topic, and I'm going to go ahead and give you some general information on suicide. I used to think that people that committed suicide were weird or had some serious issues. I didn't think that normal people with normal lives committed suicide. My brother, for instance, he was a leader. He was admired, loved, respected by his peers, and yet he felt like he had to take his life. Suicide is more common than you might think. According to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, suicide ranks 10th among all reasons of death in the United States. Every 13.7 minutes, someone commits suicide in the United States. According to FoxNews.com, suicide has surpassed car accidents as the #1 injury-related reason for death in the United States. Now, those who are most likely to commit suicide, according to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, are white males, and 60% of those who commit suicide have guns. So obviously people with guns are a little bit more likely to commit suicide. Men are 5 times more likely to commit suicides than women are. And just to go ahead and touch bases on the white male statistic, 80% of suicides are committed by white males. And the highest risk, as far as age groups, is the age group of 45 to 54-year-olds. They commit 2,000 more suicides a year than any other age group. Risk factors for suicide are those with psychiatric disorders, people with past history of suicide attempts, and you can look out the certain demographics that I talked about previously. Now, some of the major warning signs for suicides are increased alcohol and drug abuse, outbursts of rage or extreme anger, unrelenting depression, and hopelessness. I can relate to being hopeless. Just this past summer, my lifestyle changed drastically. I ended up losing my home, a job that I held that I needed to take care of my family, and I was going through some real tough times with some personal issues. I didn't know where to turn, and I had an overall feeling of hopelessness that took over me, and I felt like I needed to commit suicide. Now, the protocol for suicide prevention is to go ahead and you need to take signs of suicide seriously. 50 to 75% of people who commit suicide give off some type of warning sign. My brother talked to my mom not more than 12 hours before he committed suicide. And my mother to this day feels like that she could have done something or said something to prevent him from committing suicide. Now, one of the things that you must do is you must be willing to listen and ask some of the appropriate questions. There are certain questions that you should ask people that have thoughts that express thoughts of suicide. Now, one of the questions is, how are you coping with what's happening in your life? Do you ever feel like giving up? Are you thinking about dying? Are you thinking about hurting yourself? Are you thinking about suicide? You can't be afraid to ask people these questions. This could be the difference between one of your loved ones dying and living. Have you thought about how you do it? Do you know when you would do it? And do you have the means to do it? If the answers to these questions are yes, you need to take immediate actions, because these people are at a high risk of committing suicide, and they're in imminent danger. One of the things you should do is obviously call 911 if you feel like that there's a serious threat of suicide, or you can call a National Suicide Hotline. And final thing that you need to do, if you do get them to the doctor or someone that can talk to them about this problem, make sure that they follow up on their treatment after you've got them to their help. Now that you have a deeper understanding of suicide, the risk factors, warning signs, and a protocol for prevention, hopefully you'll be able to identify and aid your loved ones if they have a legitimate suicide risk. Remember, anyone can be suicidal, and it takes a trained eye to potentially save the life of someone that's important to you.